Welcome to the Real HD Show, the higher discussion. I am your host, Vic, and you are tuned in one more again for an extravagant ride of awareness so you can move fearless every day out here in these streets. So, peace to my peoples in the ethos. If you are wandering and you want more, we got more in store. We are the Real HD Show. Stands for the higher discussion. I'm the Vic. This is prime time with a purpose. Don't get nervous. We going below the epidermis. That's right. We are going below the epidermis. We are back and better than ever. Got our thing together. Bringing it to you real strong, real right here. Prime time with a purpose. Deep enough to swim in. Tell them, tell a friend again. It's the real HD with adrenaline. We in. We getting it done. All right. So we're here on Wednesday, hump day night, to bring you that awareness so you can move fearless. The key or the call letters, if you want to join what we're doing tonight, is StreamYard.com. The conversation we're having tonight on our social justice awareness show. We building and destroying. It's a build destroy night. Here we go. StreamYard.com. Y8CRFUCG 4T. So come on in. The water's fine. Like I said before, we getting deep enough to swimming. We are the Real HD Show. I'll have that up for a while. That's right. I'm not on live. That's my homie right there getting it done for me. Video, fair use videos used for educational purposes only. Peace, Sister Aurora. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. You see my AR home? You see my AI homie right there?
I see it. I
Yeah,
saw
he rocking while I'm rocking. That's what we doing tonight. Got to keep people fresh. Got to keep people on their toes.
Mm-hmm.
I put a picture into the AI simulator. This is what it spit out. I wasn't mad. I wasn't mad. I was like, I rocks with that. All right, let's go. You know what I'm saying? If anybody want to know, I'm here. I'm here. See, there you go. There you go. There you go. See me? Now you see me. Now you know. All right. So we rocking. We got the AI homie. I'm rocking. They're rocking. Sister Aurora's rocking. Let's get ready to get to it. So, as usual, we always have to thank our sponsors, Total Package Energy. We always have to thank Batch Footwear, Revolutionary Soul Technology, and we also have to thank Redeem Vacations. Bring your people to the Real HD Show, and you too can be involved with the show, and you can win some gift certificates. So you can go to dinner. We got a hotel stay, and then we have a vacation stay. So y'all bring y'all peoples over to the Real HD Show, any of the Real HD shows, and you can rock out with us as usual. Don't be scared. We here. Don't be scared. All right. So we thanked our sponsors. We brought Sister Aurora in. We got AI rocking with us. You got the Avatar homie rocking with us. We here tonight for this. Your VOD from your POV. That's right. Videos on demand from your conscious point of view. And power to the people news, because there's a lot going on. Trump think he's slick, y'all. Trump think he's slick. So we're gonna get to that a little bit later. Let me put the Avatar homie back up. And there we go. And here we go. All right. So as usual, we always got to start off with our elders and ancestors blueprint. Standing on our shoulders. Here we go. So tonight's ancestors and elders blueprint. Did we lose Sister Aurora? Oh no,
No.
Oh, okay. I thought we lost you for a second. Now go ahead, do your thing.
I put food in my mouth.
No. You good. You're good. I thought we lost you for a second because
Nope.
sometimes when we go back and forth, there's a little bit of a lag or delay or what have you. All right. So our ancestors and elders blueprint. We're going to be talking about a good doctor. And if you haven't familiarized yourself with this good doctor, then you might want to get involved. Okay, let me see how I titled this. Let me go into my file. Y'all better let me run my show tonight. Stop playing.
Remember that's the Saturday karate movies?
Yes.
Avatar reminds me of that because you're talking and then you see its lips move.
Right. I'm hoping I get away with it for the night. I don't know. How am I doing? All right. So here we're gonna get into the good doctor out of Chicago, and we're gonna get it cracking right here on the Real HD Show. Here we go.
Nobody else can liberate the working class but the working class. Nobody else gives somebody else freedom. Freedom is something for which you fight.
He was black, he was from the Caribbean, and he was also a Marxist. He was not a historian who spent his entire life in the archive.
Walter Rodney stood up for a Caribbean nationalism, but also for a black consciousness.
Very active in Pan-African affairs connected with liberation movement.
His ideas was very much at the forefront of the radical decolonization struggles, so during the 60s and into the 70s.
Walter went out into the community and organized for radical change.
When he came back to Guyana, there was great expectations upon his arrival in 74. It was quite clear that a new leadership element was required.
People actually loved him, people from all races.
When Rodney had to speak, there was silence as though he was God.
Dr. Walter Rodney could have been mentioned in the same breath with Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, and Mahatma Gandhi.
Walter was killed in the prime of his life. He was 38 years old.
The government saw Walter as dangerous. He was charismatic, he was intelligent, he was able to bring people together.
Security agencies, whether in London, whether in the US, whether in the Caribbean, all knew how dangerous he was.
So the surveillance file started on Rodney very early on. This is part of the way the Caribbean in the Cold War functioned.
It was obvious why they had to murder him. He would have brought about a fundamental change.
All right. So that was our elders and ancestors blueprint on Sir Walter Rodney, doctor, brother, Sir Walter Rodney. So, Sister Aurora, are you familiar with Dr. Walter Rodney?
I certainly am. As I told you, I got people in Guyana.
Oh, nice. See, I'm gonna let you run the show. You run it. Go ahead. Every time I see you on the money. You're on the money. Go ahead, sis. Talk to us about the good doctor.
I mean, he is celebrated like Che Guevara is celebrated.
Yes,
And,
he certainly is.
And so when you have those hometown heroes, which he was for Guyanese, you see a lot of still in the area, a lot of memorials to him and tributes to him. And it's unfortunate that unless you're studying him, just like Marcus Garvey, to the kids today, he goes unknown. So I'm glad that you are always doing the elder piece so that you can introduce persons to, kind of started the revolution in their areas. And again, like she says, that his assassination didn't just come out of the Caribbean book; it came right out the pages of an FBI or CIA,
yeah, COINTELPRO, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
so
yeah.
But they celebrate him the way we celebrate Malcolm and Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you happen to have any of his works at your shop?
I did not, at the time I didn't. And a lot of the history of it was passed on because of cousins and things like that. But I did not have his works.
Yeah, he has a famous book among many. How did Europe underdevelop Africa? And I have that volume here at my spot, at my house. And I try to teach excerpts from this book all the time, and it's a powerful book. It's a powerful kind of excerpt. I'm just gonna try to see if I can get a larger picture of the book before I share my screen and show everyone what we're talking about. Okay, so I think I have one, so I'll share my screen now, and I will let you guys see some of his great work. We've probably seen this in a store before somewhere, and didn't know what you were looking at or what it was all about.
Absolutely.
Can you see that?
How Europe undeveloped Africa.
And it's powerful because he has the hands of the the two Caucasian hands, and they're ripping apart Africa. And I try to let me stop sharing there. Let me see if I can open that back up. My home screen is going crazy right now. Okay, cool. Got it. All right. So I try to make sure that I'm introducing not only to my students, but to my students' parents and community members and anybody that will listen, some of the tenets of this good brother and some of the things that he wants to instill into the consciousness of all melanated people. And one of the big things he talked about was identity as melanated people. We should be about diaspora. He was the great conscious innovator. And this is after Marcus. This is after some of our other greats that we already took time to show you. But nonetheless, he was a Pan-Africanist, and he wrote the great book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And that is so true. That is so true because they don't teach these things in school now. I don't know anywhere on the globe that you're going to find the methodology behind why Africa and why the African diaspora is in the shape that it's in. They don't teach it in any school. It's not on any standardized tests. They're not requiring for you to know that to graduate high school. So where would you get it except for those who pioneered in the space? And that's why we celebrate brother Dr. Walter. Right. So that was our elders and ancestors blueprint. If anybody wants to talk about the good doctor, Walter Rowdy, please tap in, leave us a message. Let us know, what you remember about the good brother. Have you read some of his works? Or if he sparked you and some of his teachings sparked you in a very, fundamental way and moved you to do the things that you do in your life and lead your life the way you lead it, whether it's solitary or it's about community. Talk to us about them. All right, so we're going to jump into an AAT report. Here we go. AAT report is the healthy, wealthier, and wiser word for a brand new you, because we all need cell power. And this is our health segment for the show. And we want to invite you to chime in with us. Tell us what you know. Tell us what it's about. We do these things to help one another, to make things clear that aren't, and to give ourselves a little bit of a healthier purpose moving forward. Because a couple of years ago, a lot of us was robbed of our cell power. We lost a lot of folks in the fight that were trying to retain their cell power unjustly, and we want to talk about it right here. So in this particular segment, we have a video that we're going to show you guys, and it's about how you can get PFAs out your system, forever chemicals. Because if you drink out of plastic bottles, if you eat off of those plastic trays that you might get, Chinese food from, all kinds of stuff, we want to show you guys how you guys can eat and be a little better and flush those toxic chemicals from the body. And here it is on our AAT health report. Here we go.
And help detox your body from dangerous cancer-causing chemicals. A new study out of Boston just revealed something groundbreaking. Eating more fiber, especially a type called beta-glucan found in mushrooms, can help flush out forever chemicals, also known as PFAS. These chemicals are hiding in your nonstick pans, takeout containers, and even tap water. They don't break down, they build up in your organs, and they've been linked to cancer, infertility, hormone disruption, and memory problems. But here's the good news. When you eat beta-glucan fiber, it forms a gel in your gut that traps these toxins before they get absorbed. Fiber binds to bile acids, fat-loving substances PFAS latch onto, and carries them out of your body naturally through your stool. In just 4 weeks, men who took beta-glucan fiber before meals saw an 8% drop in some of the most toxic forever chemicals in their blood. So how can you get more beta-glucans? Well, here at BrainMD, we make smart mushrooms. Add these to your daily routine. I do, put them in my shake every day. Or eat more mushrooms anyways. It's always a good idea to eat more fiber from berries and vegetables. Your body can become its own detox machine. Your health is in your hands. Eat smart, live clean, and take us on.
All right, we're back. So that was our one part of our AAT report, and we were talking about eating healthy with beta glucans and how they can help flush forever chemicals out your stool. Now, why is that important? Because, like I said, a lot of America has been inundated through plastics. They're saying that people die, and when they do autopsies, there's plastic in their blood, plastic in their stool, plastic in their sperm. Women have plastic seeping all throughout their systems. And I think that's the fight of the 21st century, at least health wise, is how and when we can, remove nanoplastics from our system. And for men, I'll let Sister Aurora talk about it for the ladies, but for the men, you got to keep the yang up, brothers. And them nanoplastics ain't gonna do that for you, man. You got to get that stuff about you. So it's best to eat a clean diet as much as possible. And I know we all run into these forever chemicals and different things that we can't really help because it's what is available to you in your environment. And it's even in the environment. It's even in the air. That's how bad it is. It's in the ocean. It's in the air. It's biodegradable. It's in all type of stuff. Sister Aurora, do you have any experience with?
Sorry.
Now go ahead. Do you think?
No, go ahead.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yep. It's my sensor going off.
Oh no problem. So some of the beta glucans that you can find, and you saying, well, that's a really complicated SAT type of word. But break it down, make it simple for me, bro. Okay, cool. So mushrooms, beta glucans are, and you can find them in wheat, organics, right? Sorghum, maize, rye, barley, edible seaweed, maitake and shiitake mushrooms, and different types of oats. Different types of oats. So I'll ask you the question again, sister. Have you have any experience with nanoplastics, and are you a person that does regular detoxes and things like that to get the nanoplastics and other pathogens out of the body? What say you?
I do detox, but I didn't know that was that's what I was getting out. A couple of years ago, I started drinking the mushroom coffee, and everybody wasn't crazy about the mushroom coffee, which is good. I won't even say their brand because I hear that they ain't good with their employees, but
no, I get you. I know. I check.
Yes.
Check.
Okay. So, but mushrooms, and they've always telling, especially for women, and especially if you're going through any any cancer treatments or you're trying to change your foods, mushrooms is one of the sources that help us with they have certain cancer properties. The ones that are good in vitamins, they always tell us that's why you're good in the morning because you drink a cup of mushroom coffee, and they have given you your essential vitamins and your minerals. And a lot of times when people are looking for potassium but don't like bananas, if you like mushrooms,
Good
add
word. Good word.
mushrooms, it's good for, especially as I get older. It's good for anti-inflammatory with my joints and your muscles and arthritis. So there's so many properties for that for your digestive system that mushrooms are good. And yet a lot of people don't like them, but I love them.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that a lot. Like, I'm not a fan of mushrooms, but I'll deal with the mushroom powder because then you don't have that kind of slimy mushroom taste. The interesting part about beta glucans, one of the main ingredients in the beta glucan structure is eumelanin. So I find that really interesting that eating more foods that are rich in melanated tones and melanated, organics improves your health. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I just want to put that out there for the people so that they can, have some solutions for health. And then we also want to deal with an article right here. And in this particular article, a doctor says that eating ultra processed foods might just be okay.
I can't even stand processed foods.
Yeah, so he says eating. I see it. Okay, so here's the article. It says I study the effects of ultra processed foods. Here's why I still eat the bad ones. Okay, a food scientist has long vocalized a link between ultra processed foods and chronic health conditions. Has been revealed that he has eaten them, even the bad ones. Dr. Kevin Hall served as a nutritionist and metabolist scientist at the National Institute of Health for 21 years before quitting the spring amid complaints that his work was being censored by the Trump administration. He said just because something overprocessed mean it's bad for you. For example, marinara sauce, but when the 18 and colleagues found that ultra processed food led to participants to eat 500 calories more a day than when they ate a matched diet of unprocessed foods, suggested that they are addictive. Despite findings, Hall says that he hasn't been put out of ultra processed foods, and he treats them as recreational substances. Opening up about his typical diet, he made another surprise revelation that he doesn't eat breakfast. Some nutritionists say skipping breakfast has consequences, as it may lead to low energy, poor concentration, and overeating during the day, and some blood sugar imbalances. Okay, so Sister Aurora, we got one uh health homeopathic instructor, and he's telling us we got to detox from the, you know, forever chemicals, right? And we have this other one telling us that it might just be okay to use them. What do you think? Or you gotta
It's
unmute your mic.
anything that's coming out of the Trump administration, uh, or that the Trump administration is trying to censor, may give everybody a reason to have a second look at what this doctor is saying. But
Right.
I just don't like processed foods. Now, I don't like chicken nuggets, none of that kind of stuff. Anything that's processed, I just don't like it. That's why I don't like lunch meat because just and everybody's always told you stay away from processed foods. So when someone sits there and is saying, "Oh, you can eat them," they help chronic health conditions. Well, it's worth taking a look at. But I'm suspect to anything that you have to process from its original, its original properties.
Right. Why do you think we're getting so much contradictory information in that space? What do you think?
Well, someone must be losing out in a lot of money.
Let's get to it. Let's have a higher discussion.
Yeah, so when you're looking at things as, whether it's the Tyson who's changing, they have chicken, but they also have all those chicken nugget and all those other products, or whether it's, McDonald's, or the fast food restaurants. So they must want to come out with something to counter, because everyone, once they started to turn healthy or started eating more healthier, I should say, uh, you know, burgers became a thing that people were avoiding from fast food places. Now you have all these people getting on TV talking about eat healthy, and so their revenues aren't the same. So there's a lot of reasons, but it's always about money.
Yeah, I didn't really even hear in that article. I really didn't even hear a medical or science-based reason why.
Right.
Why should I use ultra processed foods on a part-time basis? Why should I do that?
Because my $1 billion house needs pay.
Right. Right. I had the Tyson's food dude over my house the other night, and we was clanging some wine glasses and laughing, and he told me to hook it up. You know what I'm saying? You
That's
hook up my
right.
bottom line, I'll hook up yours. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't you got some shares in Tyson Foods? Yeah, I heard you had some. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So just wanted to get to those. And I want to get to one more story because I think it's very important for the young people so they could be vigilant and be aware. And that's about these new things called honey packs. You mess with honey packs, Sister Aurora?
I never heard of them. Not
Okay.
for I
So,
never heard of them for for anything outside
yeah.
of.
So this is the young adults, right? So this is like creepy honey packet sex trend take colleges by storm. And here's what they do and why. College students, mostly men, are buying gas station sex enhancement drugs. Many of these honey packets contain unregulated erectile dysfunction meds. Side effects can include painful and persistent erection for longer than 4 hours. While many people experiment in college and an ongoing trend among students causing concern, college students are using honey packs during sex with the hopes that they would enhance their experience. Man, man, oh man, Shevitz, what's happening? So we
How
got
does it enhance their experience? Okay, I'm not.
it. Well, the reason why I picked it is because some of they say that there's low T for a lot of young men because of nanoplastics in the blood and in
Oh.
the sperm and all of that. So young men are taking honey packs to keep their yang up while they're trying to get with whomever. And it's a new trend that's, really, really bad, medically bad for young people.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember when Viagra just came out.
Oh,
It must have been
true.
around 2000, I want to say 2, 3, or 4, somewhere in there.
Mhm.
And it was it was a hit amongst the senior citizens.
It was on all kinds of TV shows.
Right. The senior, because I was down in B-more at the time. I was doing security,
Mhm.
right? And I was working at night. I was doing security at John Hopkins Hospital. And when they used to bring the people in the ER, guess who was coming in for erectile issues?
Mhm.
Senior men on Viagra.
Mhm.
They was inflamed. They didn't know what to do. They was, and then of course, for the older folks, okay. So sorry, I had to read I thought I was reading a message for
Oh.
the advertisement. So they were inflamed. They didn't know what to do. Man, did they have their blood pressure was rising? They heart palpitating. Some of them on the verge of having heart attacks and strokes. It's wild, man. And now the industry has evolved some 20 years later into offering honey packs to virile young men that are already there who just want to kind of like, I don't know, overperform. Maybe they have a fear of underperforming, so they do that. Um, this is dangerous, man, because now you're messing with the natural processes of gaining an erection, copulating, all of that type of stuff. Sister Aurora, what advice would you give young people, who think that this is, I guess, like it might even be, I think the trend is that this is some sort of like, date or party supplement. Like, how people used to be on Molly or X or,
Mhm.
now they doing honey packs
So,
to,
what is it exactly? Is the pack like? Is it powder?
well,
Is it
it's
liquid?
actually honey. It's actually
Oh,
honey,
okay.
but it's laced with all kinds of chemicals that's supposed to give you like a super
Oh,
erection. You know what I mean?
oh, okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But it's popular amongst the young people in college. They doing their thing with it. And the reason why I brought it up was again because of all of the nanoplastics that we talked about in the other video and how pervasive nanoplastics are within our diet, within our, ecosystem, what we drink, what we eat, all of it. You know, it's really a pervasive thing. What advice would you give to some young people on to not do this? Because you know, Instagram, Snapchat, everybody got a trend now, right? And a challenge,
Mhm.
right? I'm gonna do the Tevin Campbell challenge, and I'm gonna do this challenge and that challenge, so now they got the honey pack trend, and now that's trending all over the place, and people are trying it and going crazy. What would you say? What advice would you give young people?
I mean, just I mean, with all these different things that are coming up, if it's not part of your natural makeup, you really shouldn't be using so much of it. Because you know, in 10 years, they're going to be saying, "Did you use honey packs between 2025?"
There we go.
You did, you know.
Yeah, you might be. You might. Are you sick?
You're subject to some money,
Right. You might be. You might get some compensation.
you know. So yeah, so
Right. And then meanwhile, you know you in a suffering situation. You know.
yeah. So yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. So you know, every trend ain't fun. Every trend ain't popping. Every trend ain't worth, you know, dipping your toe in the water for. So, you know, let's be easy with it. Let's not go there and remain healthy. You know, there are natural ways to stimulate that men and women both can stimulate their libido. And for men, watermelon and watermelon rind, pomegranate, uh, celery, ginger, anything that opens up the blood vessels, right?
Mhm.
And beets, right? Anything that opens up the blood vessels, allows for good blood flow, will help you with your, you know, whatever you think you may have, or if you have a fear of underperforming. I know that sort of thing. If you build up those ingredients in your system, um, a lot of lycopene in watermelon, you'll be a healthier and wiser young person. And that was our AAT report for the night. For the night. What I want to get into real quick before we get too far gone is our lit city report. No music, no music. It's our wild and wacky things that make the world go round, because we need levity. We need good stories. We have so many serious and bad stories. We want some good to great ones. So I'm going to drop that. I'm going to bring that up. Open up my assets one more again. And I'm going to put this up right here. Let's get into it. So in 2023, a 16-year-old Bryce Brooks of Atlanta showed incredible bravery when he jumped into the ocean in Florida and saved 4 children from drowning. He didn't, thanks to him, all survived, but tragically, young brother Bryce passed away. And that's Bryce and his dad right there. And, you know, I have a vid I want to show really, really quickly. And the name of that aligns with it really well. Let's see. Can I find it really, really quickly? Let's see. Yeah, so that was a great saving grace for those kids.
Mhm.
They all lived, and they all lived to tell the tale of, you know, what was going on. And I'm trying to get to this joint. Trying to find it right now, family. Uh, 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 well, I'll just tell you about it. His dad went on a podcast and he did an interview with a group who wanted to interview him about his son's passing. They were so enamored with his son's passing that they sat him down. Okay, I got it. Cool. Found it. So I'll show you the video and then we could talk about it on the other side. Talking about the heroic Bryce Brooks and what he did and what is in the aftermath or the wake of his heroism. Here we go.
Son to ensure that, you know, we're working on aquatic safety and making sure that more black children are able to swim when 80% of black children can't swim.
What's the name of this program?
It's the Bryce Brooks Foundation.
The Bryce Brooks
Foundation, in honor of my son. And two quick backstory, both my wife and I were lifeguards from like high school into our adulthood, right? Wow. So like
that adds it. I would know that. And only imagine that adds a whole nother layer.
For sure, right? Because one of the kids who was in the water with my son, who was one of his friends, they were on a trip together, right? Was a kid I taught how to swim, who made it home. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's one of those things that like
it's a what if that's gonna constantly play.
So we're back to the show, and we're talking about the heroism of Bryce Brooks and the fact that there's a foundation that his father started and others that believed in his cause and his act of bravery. They started, and it's called the Bryce Brooks Foundation and for aquatics, and they want to make 1 million black people knowledgeable and skillful in the art of swimming, which I think is just fantastic, especially since the earth is mostly covered in water. You know what I mean? And it's more, and as technological as we are, we always get reminded that Mother Nature can put belt to ass anytime she feel like it. And all of a sudden, you know, your whole community is, 12, 15 feet underwater. You know what I mean? And then you gotta, make your way around. You have to survive. And, you also, you never know in the course of, your summers and your springs and your outings, whether you or a family member is going to be compromised, impacted, conflicted by an aquatic event. Somebody falls in a pool by accident, whatever the situation is. And you got to act. You know what I mean? You got to get in there and save them, maybe at the beach. Malcolm Jamal Warner, he just went under. We lost him recently over an aquatic event. So I try to tie these things together. I think that was a great Lit City story. Any aquatic kind of alignment do you have? Are you a swimmer?
I'm a great swimmer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but my daughter, who's the youngest one, her first job was as a lifeguard.
Oh, fire!
Mm-hmm.
Fire!
And then during that time, she had what they call 3 saves, and so
excellent.
And she just felt that after she had those saves, she was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I said, it's a tough thing.
It was gut wrenching.
Yeah. But she did. Like, I pulled up to pick her up, and all these people came surrounding my car and saying, "Your daughter's a hero. They saved my kids." And,
oh man,
it was great. But some of these kids are just 16 years old as lifeguards, so they're expecting parents to watch your kids when you're around the pool. But when they do that, it's a lot for them because again, she was 15 as a lifeguard, you know. And so she was just like, it was just overwhelming. I mean, it was a great feeling. And, I'm very proud of her, but she's like, no, because then after it becomes, what if I miss one? What if I did this one? So it didn't become real until after she had those saves.
Yes. Wow. Wow. I can imagine heavy is the heart, you know what I mean? That, that wears the burden of trying to, kind of corralling, saving, being primary in the role, of being a savior at the time. That's not everybody wants the adulation that comes with that, Yeah, but I'm glad she was there to do it. And I just wanted to, show this brother's bravery. And it also made me think of the Alabama brawl where the brother jumped in the water.
Jumped in the water to swim,
all the way over to where they was having the ruckus and got in and got busy to help save the brother that was getting jumped by all the white guys. And I was like, man, what if he must have been confident in his ability to swim if he just jumped. I mean, he wasn't far from the shore, but from the
but like you said,
dock.
he didn't even really think about it. He just saw that his
Right.
coworker needed help.
Right. But he just turned into Aquaman like overnight and just got busy. So yeah, we want to highlight that. We want to, keep having brothers and sisters build things like this. Because we often get very maligned into the Universal 25, the projects, the ultra city living, and we don't have access to water as much as we should. Like I'm Caribbean, but I don't. My people. I'm not in Trinidad, so my family, I don't have access to water as much as I would like to have access to water. Where I go home, and they like fish over there. Like, what's wrong with you?
Remember, kids from Long Island, we learned how to swim in the beach. So
There you go.
ocean is our thing.
Yeah, I learned how to swim at Camp Minnesink. Shout out to Camp Minnesink, swimming in a lake up there in Dover Plains, doing that sort of thing. So I had my trials and tribulations, and I had to overcome that and master that technique on how to be a good swimmer, and I did. So, but like I said, we don't always have access to water. We don't always have access to aquatics, the freedom that comes with dealing in aquatics. And then when you get around water, it often becomes a scary proposition if you don't know what you're doing in the water. So, we need city to city, state to state, community to community. We should be taking out some folks to your local Ys or your beaches or your lakes or whatever's near you, and try to have teach some young people how to tread water. Because really, that's what it amounts to. You don't have to be an expert swimmer, but you have to know how to tread water. You know what I mean? You swim a couple of feet, you get tired, you tread water for a little while, then you swim another couple of feet. As long as you don't panic in deep waters, that's the part that is the real test. Not the panic. Don't hit the panic button. Gauge yourself, remain measured, and try to get to some sort of solid substance on land or whatever by taking your time, pacing yourself, treading water. Learn how to keep yourself afloat by treading water, and all those things will work out really, really well. So big up to them. So, it's always a horrible thing that they had to lose their son. For them to imagine this foundation that they put together, but it is. So support that, family, support their foundation, and we are moving on. Also, I want to show y'all a clip real quick about some literature. And no, sweetie, I'm not trying to, bite your style and talk about the books. I know that's your Saturday thing, but I'm trying to real quick talk about some of the best books out right now if you are starting your journey in consciousness or Black history, or you want to get your kids inundated in reading and getting knowledge of yourself and finding out who they are. These are some of the more recent titles that are really, really doing well. Let's check them out. Lit City Report.
Must-have books. Black people invented everything. Black fortunes and Black AF history. If you own these 3 books, you own the secret to Black history. We invented everything. We truly did. This book tells you every single thing that Black people laid hands on, invented, and created. This book tells you how we became millionaires, even with the odds stacked against us. And this book tells you how we got to these 2 places. Black AF history. This book was written by Michael Harriot. This book was written by Dr. Suyan Das. And this one was written by Shomari Wills. 3 Black authors telling their truths about Black history. Click that orange card below.
All right, there we go. Yeah, so we got some new things. We got some new books to whet our palate. Get your knife and fork out. For me, it would be a composition notebook and a Black's Law dictionary, and I'm going to town on some of that work. And if you want to go even further back to what would be a great reference book, The Browder File, Ancient Nile Contributions to Civilization. That would be a great one to. I read it about 2 or 3 times, but I always use it for reference. If I forgot something about Black history, or I need I need a refresher, or I need to just make myself more aware on a certain, ism, schism, a little time period, why did they come before Columbus? I could find it in the Browder File. Another one is they came before Columbus. Ivan
Yep.
Van Sertima. That's another kind of rubric or standard bearer or basic instructions before leaving Earth type of volume where you can just you could just dive in and lots of factoids to stimulate your conscious muscle. So this has been a Lit City report for this episode of the Real HD Show, and we are moving. Okay, so we're here for our videos on demand segment, which is Power to the People news at the very same time. We're gonna do a mashup smash up. I hope Brother Mozzie could join us after 9, like he usually does. If he cannot, that's cool, because we're gonna get into a couple of things. Government shutdown. Your initial thoughts. Are you a government worker, Sister Aurora? Have you been one? And what do you
No,
think of
no, I
government
am not.
shutdown and what it's all about?
Yeah, being in higher ed, a lot of it always comes, to us. So we're always aware, we're always made aware by Department of Labor and even the Department of, well, it's no longer Department of Education, but even though along those lines of different
What's that about?
legislation. Yeah, you know. And so but it's just so funny because not funny. There are some people losing their jobs, but not the people who who they thought they were going to get
Right.
to the majority of. They were hoping to get the majority of, Black and brown people, and that's not who they got.
Yeah, quite a step. It's a lot of palm color folks who
That's right. I'm always like, well, y'all hit the button, y'all made
they
that
sing
choice last November 4th.
yeah, it's a lot of palm color folks singing like Smokey right now. They tight. Like they wasn't supposed to get us.
Thank you. Like what happened?
There's a lot of melanated folks upset about that too, but it's a lot of palm colored folks that are, they having they come to Jesus meeting right now.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So the reason I brought it up was I wanted to get you guys' opinion on this, right? So we got the government shutdown, and it's on this big crappy bill that the Orange Man wants to put out there, and they're talking about it because there's a snag in the way that the Democrats are aligning with it, because they want health care. Now, they want healthcare to remain, the Affordable Health Care Act. They want that to remain as part of the bill. And the Republicans, they don't want it. So part of the kind of cognitive dissonance of it all, or I should just say a ploy to, like, I guess, gaslight people, is they're saying that the Dems only want the Affordable Health Care Act in there so that they can give illegals health care. Are there still any illegals left in the country? After ICE came through and kicked down the door waving the 4-4.
They stood outside of factories and Home Depots out here.
They're an endangered species right now, ain't they?
I'm telling you.
Good mugger. Like, I don't like I don't mind, folks who want to come here to seek a better life and do their thing. I just don't want 10 million of them. I don't mind a few that got good hearts and that come here ready to do good work and do good things, but 10 million of them jokers, I don't know. That's a little, y'all got to clean that up. So I'm not for what Trump is doing to them in the way that he's doing it to a lot of illegal immigrants. But, I came across a video, and it's by a brother. He calls himself the Funky Academic, Femi Ajapong, right? If you don't know his show, check out his show on YouTube. He's real dope. He called himself the Funky Academic, right? And I know him and what's the sister that created ADOS? Oh man, what is her name? Well, if you go to the ADOSfoundation.org, you'll see her name or what have you. But it was him and her, and they both started on YouTube working together. And now he does his own thing. She does her own thing. And he put a particular interesting theory out there. He said the Affordable Health Care Act is like the Missouri Compromise. And I said, wow, that's really interesting because both of those things have, they serve the tenets of melanated people within the country. It's baked into what we need the most. We have a large need for healthcare and healthcare services, and we are the first to be afflicted with everything in the world according to statistics. And of course, the Missouri Compromise was about free enslaved states and how they affected the Union. And of course, at the undergirding that whole conversation in the Missouri Compromise was enslaved people, so shackled people. So, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think the Affordable Health Care Act mirrors the Missouri Compromise? I know we're in two different centuries, but is time repeating itself? Is our errors repeating themselves with the way that government is acting over, the
Yeah,
ACA?
I think that it is, but this time they think that they can come more correctly because things turn into a law just for their convenience. And then, if we decide that, yeah, okay, well, that should apply to me, then laws disappear. So I don't
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah, because they're both government sponsored, right? ACA is a government sponsored and determined bill, and they're trying to make it bipartisan. We know that the Republicans don't like it because Obama was the one to,
Initiate it, yeah.
initiate it or put it out there and make it macro. And
Mhm.
then they called it Obamacare at one point, and now it's back to being the Affordable Health Care Act, right? And
Mhm.
the Missouri Compromise was very government centered as well, free and slave states. But what's interesting about both of these, Sister Aurora, is that the Affordable Health Care Act is a shell of what healthcare could be in this country if we had universal health care, right?
Mhm.
Especially given the amount of taxes, right, that we pay in this country, especially in a state like New York or Georgia or Cali or any of your big city states that, are city centric. And then the Missouri Compromise is a bill that, wanted to balance, it wanted to create balance of power in Congress between free and slave states. But undergirding both of those initiatives, theories, and bills and laws are Black people's self determination. So, my thing is, are these both feeble attempts at solving problems that exist? Can and does our Congress Do we deserve better from our Congress in terms of solution making? So the only thing they can come up with is shutting down government, which they've done several times over several things. It almost seems like that's the only way they can get get their point across and get their voices heard and be effectual is to shut down government. But then who are the most hired by government? Ain't it black folk? Aren't those the most federal workers out there?
No.
Pretty much, because I remember the last time when Biden had a government shutdown and Trump had it during his first term as president. Those were, those were the people that they were saying were going to be affected when the government shut down in those intervals as well. So I just wanted to put that out there, see what the people wanted to have a conversation about the Affordable Health Care Act and the Missouri Compromise. And are they two examples of government not being able to work together that persist in another century? And why are we always the ones that undergird the purposefulness of why these two things exist? And also, are these two things the best that our government can offer us? You let us know, man. Put a timestamp in on this one. We'll put a pin in it. We'll come back to it, and we will get to it on another episode of the Real HD Show, because that deserves some, working through and some real consideration. Because, and I was just telling my wife, Sister Aurora, are you still there or are you busy?
I'm still here. I just muted because
Oh,
there's
okay, no
noise
problem.
going on in my background. My dog's acting up.
No, that's fine. So, what do you think about all of these time periods that we consistently? It seems like it's even at least once every presidential term. Why are we having so many government shutdowns? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think a lot of it is about control,
Mhm.
and again, somehow, some way, the government became less about the people and more about pissing contests between other folks who are not coming back and asking the people what we want. They're just making their, decision based on one voice above or not above in word of the sky, but one voice of an administration. They're failing the American people. So I keep posting, America, we must do better, because it's just a pissing contest, and you and though they think that, here, this is fun and games, behind it comes actual human beings who are suffering,
Yes.
and so
Speaking of great segue, speaking of human beings suffering, check this one out. Members of Congress get paid during the government shutdown. Janitors and the rest of the regular folks, not so much. How in the world, how in any fair world is that just?
The thing is, it's not.
The people who create the shutdown get to get a check, while the people who are the worker bees, the people who, keep it together with the glue sticks and the bubble gum and the matches and the, keep the loose things tight, they don't get to get a check.
Right.
But these dudes, these congressional folks, they get to get one.
That's right. It's all right.
That's wild to me. That's wild to me. That shouldn't be, actually. Actually, that should not be. I believe these are one of the things that when everybody wants to rap the vote, rock the vote, vote till you choke, these are the things we need to be talking about.
Exactly.
Why aren't these things making a congressional or presidential stage to be talked about? I mean, you might see Bernie, he might touch that. He might graze the surface of it. He might graze over it real quick, like a barber cutting your hair. But they don't really get down to the nitty gritty of what this means civically and what it would mean in times like this. Especially so many people check, hand to mouth. You know what I mean? You depend on
Exactly.
that middle of the month check, that first of the month check, to keep things revolving, keep things going. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's one of the biggest things too. And I just finished having this conversation with people. Say everybody is still almost like one check away from, being in poverty or losing a home or losing your car or whatever. And so a lot of times you're watching, these are supposed to be our government officials acting in the best interest of the American people. And they're the only ones that's rolling down the street, and the majority of those people, they don't have to pay car. They don't have to pay for a house because the government, we're paying for that. We're paying for their homes. We're paying for their houses. And so that's really, we really need to start shouting back again at our officials because they're the only ones that, like you said, are getting paid when there's government shutdown.
That is wild to me. That is wild.
Yeah. And the
Oh, that
same
should not be.
persons that are cleaning up after you in the government don't get a check. So there's something, there's we're missing the mark here in America today. And it's not being for
they
people.
actually should be getting docked because that
Right.
actually means that they didn't do their job. If the government
Right.
shuts down because they have an impasse on theory or conflict or
And
issue or you're
why
not
would
doing
they
your
get a
job.
check when they're not going to work? It's like,
Right. Or they're not
it's-
solving the problems in a
Right.
way that the people want the problems solved.
Right. Because they stopped asking the people what they want a long time ago, And with men like, our latest administration, I said they think it's a game. So while they're suffering in Washington, let me go down to my $1 million Milagro home, play a few rounds of golf and clear my head from all those screaming people.
Ain't that cute that he could do that?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that cute?
Let me just play around and clear my head.
Right. Like we can all just
check.
Isn't that cute that wouldn't we all be love to just play around and clear our head?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's the government for the people by the people has left. It's supposed to be that, and it hasn't been for a long while. And we have to start screaming and a little bit more than marching, making some actionable choices to get things turned around.
Right. And I just think we need to be more civically active in between major elections.
Yeah, especially now. It's so quiet. You hear, it's like crickets. People, there's an election November 4th. And just for folks in the New York State, your absentee ballots and your early voting starts this month on the 25th. So let's get it cracking.
Right. And I've gone over, if you go back to some of my other episodes, I've gone over multiple ways that you could be effective in government outside of actually casting a vote. There's a lot of different ways you could do it. You can lobby. There's a ton of ways that you could be effective in government. And lobbying is one of the best ways because now you're actually doing what moves candidates, which is money.
Right.
That's what candidates respect. If you ain't got no skin in the game, then they don't feel beholden to do what they want, do what you want.
Exactly.
Especially if they look on a map and see a zip code and they see that that's a largely like a subsistence area versus an area of affluence or elitism or whatever, they're going to do for the affluent elite area what they're not going to do for the area that is largely subsistence. But it doesn't have to be that way because we spend a lot of money frivolously. We have a $1.7 trillion GDP, and that could be going towards somebody to do what we need them to do. Real talk. So let's stay vigilant and let's get that done. Let's go to one of our VOD POV videos real quick on the Real HD show. I was hoping Brother Mozzie would be on by now, but let's get it going now. So in the UK, which is always like a mirror for the United States because they're a Western power, they're moving towards some really interesting stuff. And we talked about it on this show many times. And it's almost here in the United States. Let's talk about it right. Let's look at this video and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them. And of course, the truth is, we won't solve our problems if we don't also take on the root causes, looking upstream to tackle poverty, conflict.
All right. So what do you think of that? Do we need a digital? Do the citizens of Great Britain need a digital ID to tackle poverty? What's your thoughts?
To tackle poverty. No, I don't think, I mean, even the US, like what year? This is the first year they started requesting digital IDs and that you get digital IDs. And but that's just another, as my son would say, that's just another tracking device. So,
Right. For sure.
He's like, yeah, because that's why they're eager for you to put your out here now. They're eager for you to apply and get digital IDs, licenses. And I'm like, well, what good is that going to have? Because sometimes when you pull it out, first thing people say is, oh, no, I need to see your original. I need to see your, the card that you can hand to me. I don't need to see it on, on your phone. And so it just goes to say, okay, y'all didn't coordinate this digital ID thing. You told us that we needed them by this month, 2025. Everybody's supposed to have their not only their different ID for their driver's license, but they're supposed to start applying for a digital ID. And I know I did mine for the motor vehicle, but still, people, you go to show it to somebody like, nope, we can't take that.
But in this particular video, the parliament representative said you won't be able to work,
right, or anything,
without a digital ID. And then, of course, tied to the digital ID, the way they ID you is through your biometric makeup. Your eye, the eye scan.
Yep. The face scan, fingerprint.
Shoot, they might even cuff you and check your blood pressure. I don't know. And then check this out. So that's there. They already had it going on in what do they call it? India, right? They already have it going on in India. And look what happened in Vietnam. Vietnam erases 6 million in 86 million in bank accounts because of citizens, non-complaint citizens, mind you, who refused digital ID. So, in other words, you can refuse it if you want to. We're just gonna take your money.
But again, that's part of that warning about what's going on. What's coming on. That's been I mean, when they went to that whole changing your ID, your driver's license, and you need to have a digital ID. Even for travel and stuff, it's so that they can see what you're doing, and they know how much you have in your bank accounts. They know what you're doing, how much your property is. Again, another tracking device. There were movies that I used to watch way back in the 80s that talked about a time such as this. Star Trek talks about a time such as this, and it all becomes so that if somebody has their finger on that one control that could change the trajectory of your life, just like those people whose bank accounts were wiped because they wouldn't get it. So,
right. Man. So I remember, especially in UK a couple years ago, Christine Lagarde, they were these two Russian dudes that pranked her, right? And they pranked her and they act like they were Vladimir Zelensky. Yeah, the Ukraine, the leader of Ukraine, right?
Wow.
And they asked her, they act in the Zelensky voice, right? They asked her about digital IDs and CBDCs and all of these things that they're trying to put forth right now. And she gave up the ghost. She was like, there are going to be limits on how much people can spend, how they can spend it, where they can spend it, what they can spend on. And I remember, I don't know if you weren't on the show a couple years ago, but I showed this like little cartoon. I think I had it on my old computer, and it was about a young man who was involved in the social credit system, and it was in London, and the young man was playing too many hours of video games, and he needed his biometric, he needed his digital ID and his biometric. He had to enter that into the game system in order to activate his game again. So he entered it, and the game told him, the universal system told him, you've been playing too many video games. You've been non-productive. You've been, you've been demerited 100 points. Are we ready for that?
No.
Because the digital ID gives them, through algorithms and tech processing, it gives them they give them the ability to basically shut your water off financially, if not monitor it. Have you heard about any safeguards in regard to this?
I haven't heard of any safeguards. I mean, again, I end up having to get the digital ID because, the state that I'm in required. But,
Yeah.
and
That's
so.
what they're saying to everybody.
Yeah.
But they're not really giving us salient reasons for
on why
it's useful.
Yep. I mean, and I know even with TSA, because I had to travel back and forth, they want you to have your digital ID. Now they're, especially if you're coming from some states like Georgia and Maryland. I mean, I had traveled between both, and both I needed a digital ID, and so it's great. They wove it with Apple, the Apple company, so that you can put it in. So it goes right into your Apple Wallet. Yeah, it goes back. And so I said, well, isn't that some? Okay. That they selected a platform, for us to use it on. I said, Apple just got richer because now states are requiring it, and the digital IDs go into the Apple Wallet. And that, and so here you both, and that's on both Apple and Android platforms.
Yep. Isn't that cute?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you couldn't get a couple years ago, they wanted to check your credit for you to get an Apple product. They wanted you had to have a 10-year steady job just to buy one of their little
to get a phone.
Yeah, you had to, you had to have grandma, grandpa type credit to own some Apple products,
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they just giving it to you. I'll give you an example. I just went to get another phone the other day, and they're offering me. I'm an Android dude. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
give away it all, but they're basically like, oh, you can be an Apple customer now. You're all of a sudden eligible to be an Apple customer. Really? All of a sudden. I needed to give my left arm to be an Apple customer 3 years ago, right? But now that y'all want to roll out all these CBDCs and all the rest of it, now I'm eligible to be an Apple customer because that's the preferred method that you want to observe and surveil people.
Mhm.
You want it going through Apple, right? Or
Yep.
one of the big
Or your Google.
technocrats, right? Google or Apple,
Yep.
right? So anything
Yep.
aligned with Google or Apple, all of a sudden you're eligible.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Yep.
I want to show this clip real quick, and then we can talk about it on the other side. Here we go.
Time to start a productive day. Final notice, your account balance is below 500. You need 50 credits by the end of the day to avoid automatic eviction. If you have missed work due to illness, you must provide a doctor's note to reclaim your credits.
Any extra credits? Please.
Tensions are high today, with more people planning to join the Citizens Against Digital Control protest. Remember, the government knows who you are at all times. Resisting is not worth the consequences. All of their newest social credit systems are designed to keep you and your families safe and efficient.
Authorities seized a record balance of an individual's credits, citing excessive hoarding.
Traffic violation detected. 7 miles per hour over the limit. 75 credits have been automatically deducted.
You have to be fucking kidding me.
Yep, you got the flu. Your blood work shows a significant iron deficiency. I recommend incorporating more red meat into your diet.
Dr. Jones, your taxes were not filed and have been automatically deducted with late fees. Your medical license has been revoked.
Oh, hell nah, I filed an extension.
All right. Now I know that was a, embellished type of, little drama there, but do you think it'll get, how far do you think this will go in that direction? Are we headed in the full speed ahead, light years ahead realm of credit, social credit? Or is it going to be, talk to me nice? Are they going to ease it in there? And it'll be, just kind of like another voluntary exercise that we'll fall for. What's your thoughts on that?
Right now, I mean, again, they're incorporating that you have digital IDs. New York is going to start, but Georgia and Maryland, you needed it, and so they just and Netflix keeps doing these movies like Black Mirror and all of those that show these
So
kind of things.
you saw that Black Mirror episode
Yeah, you saw that
with
one?
the girl, and she had to go to the wedding. Oh God,
Yes,
that was
going to the
wild.
wedding. That was,
Yeah,
that's why I laughed.
yeah, that was one of the best ones, actually.
Yep, it was. It was. Yep. And so, when they're showing things like that about things that we have now, and it's saying, okay, it's going to get to this point, next thing we know, it's going to be getting to that point. You're going to lose 2 lives. It'll be like, look at your watch and be like, on your skin, it'll say, 2 lives lost because you didn't have enough, points or enough this. So yeah, it can easily become that, especially when we saw it in the beginning of this year when you allowed a layperson to run government. Okay, and so we're seeing it, and again, it really involves on who y'all trusting, and everybody now feels lied on, and feels lied on, and I've been bamboozled. No, you haven't. He never lied to y'all. He told you, who he was when you voted for him. Okay? There weren't no lies. Okay? Yeah, I mean, so
Why are we?
if we let it, it can happen.
If the system Now, here's one of the things we could talk about. There's this theory going on out there that they want to subvert the national debt by setting up these CBDCs and these a federal coin. So you know how when Nixon took the dollar off the standard, and then also back in 33 when they took the dollar off the gold standard, the dollar lost value each time, right? So now if they do this again with CBDCs, right, with the digital ID connected to these CBDCs, the dollar will lose value once more. So, and it's all fiat currency. So, meaning you don't have any money, gold to back up the value of a dollar, right? So, grandma tell you save your pennies, you have $1, you get a stick of bubble gum, you get 100 pennies, right? And you learned that lesson, and you try to stay to it. Every time you got a little bit of change, you put it in the jar. You get your $2.50. You go buy yourself a pack of gum, right? Or whatever you bought with whatever you saved on, right? But this time around, there's rumors that the debt that America has is so overwhelming and so surmounting, and we keep printing more and more money from the Federal Reserve that there's no way for us to overcome that amount of debt. And the CBDCs give us an excuse to introduce a brand new economic system, and they get with X's and O's, zeros and ones, DOS technology from way back in the 80s. I don't know if anybody remember DOS when it was all zeros and ones, and you can code a whole computer program on zeros and ones, right? Now their plan, or the rumor about the government's plan, is they want to erase the national debt, 37 trillion, by creating this new methodology of economics. What's your thought about that? Do you think they can get away with something like that? Do you think that if there's a global effort for this will help most economies erase their debt? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Is this a peekaboo? Is this like a 3-card Monty?
Yeah, exactly.
Watch the queen. Where's the queen at?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
No, that kind of explains. Is it a 3-card Monty? Is it, it's just really, when it's just really hard to say what couldn't be, because the things that have happened this year that shouldn't have been, and it's against not only the amendments that we've taken laws with, or someone has taken liberties and gotten around Constitution and doing things, then anything can happen. Depends on who's in that seat. Because the fact that those things are happening now just goes to show you anything can happen. The fact that, Elon Musk ran the country for the first 3 months of this year to show you anything, So I won't say that can't happen. I mean, there's been a lot of unified voices, and then we see, we end up seeing what we saw happen during election time. So I'm not gonna say it can't happen. Depends on who's running the joint. And if Congress is not Congress is allowing things to go, it's just a makeup of, I'm telling you, like I said, if you never saw The Handmaid's Tale, and Margaret Atwood was on point when she said that would happen. And we see things like it happening now at little steps, taking away rights, and nobody is doing anything about it, rounding up folks. And it's not you're proven guilty before, and it's that you're guilty first, and then they're like, okay, you try to straighten it out, from without any resources. And we've seen a lot of people in Freeport and Westbury who were born in the United States and raised, got rounded up. Fred Brewington, shout out to him, but he's out there working in big numbers for these cases that are happening. So we never thought that would happen, so we can't say, because we're.
Are you talking about the shit about ICE in Chicago?
ICE in Chicago and ICE in Freeport. And they, literally grabbed people out of their cars in Freeport, and then they had the news
Oh,
on
Freeport, Long Island.
Long Island, yeah, Freeport, Long
Ah,
Island,
man, I gotta call my man Toby
yeah,
because that's
and
my Freeport
Westbury,
connect. Wow, that's the coach for Freeport.
yeah,
I went to
and
school. I
Fred.
went to school with him.
Oh, okay.
Damn, I didn't know they were doing that.
Yeah, and Fred Brewington is, civil rights attorney for Long Island. Has probably been the most known one because he's the only one that goes fighting for you. He's out there now fighting for people who've been dragged out of their cars. And I mean,
Wow,
literally dragged out of their cars.
wow.
So
Yeah, sorry.
it's happening in
I'm
real
sorry. My
time.
Long Island, Freeport, Baldwin folks is going through
Yeah,
that, man. That's nuts. I used to live out in
yep.
Baldwin for a while when I just got out of
So
school. Damn,
yep, it's
that's.
real. It's happening. It's happening.
Well, I
And
remember
so.
when they used to do those stop and frisk car stops on the side of the highway. That always
Mhm.
that always used to piss me off.
Yeah.
And they just come through
Yeah.
and just ticket your car, give you 4 fat tickets for
Mhm.
nonsense, and tie you up fighting for tickets for nothing.
Mhm.
You know what
But
I
there were
mean?
several videos that showed ICE surrounding a car and grabbing this woman out of the car.
Wow.
And she's screaming, trying to get the doors, keep the 2 doors of the car locked. And then they used the thing to break her window. And
Oh, they
then,
broke the window.
yeah,
Was
she was trying to lock the doors. You
she
could
was
see her
black or she was Spanish?
Spanish.
Oh, she's
Hispanic.
Spanish.
Yeah. And she trying
Jeez.
to lock the doors, and she, they went around the car to this side. So she went to, and I see it. I said, must be an old door, because I said, why is she reaching? Because and because usually your lock is right there on your driver's side, but she reached over to secure the door, and they broke her window, and then we're gonna pull her out of the car through the window, the broken window.
Damn.
And you hear this other woman just keep on. She said, keep on taping, because there were people out there, and I guess they were videotaping, and that's how it ended up. Yeah, but this is a Freeport, Long Island, and in Westbury, and we've seen some crazy stuff coming out there. But yes, they're not even something that they grab these people out of their cars, and so it's happening, and nothing like that should ever have happened. But again, it's under who, it's under the administration
Well, this
making
is where
raids.
some of these things are going on,
They said they came out of the sky.
in Chicago. Yeah,
Yeah,
they ran into this apartment building, right? And they full on black folks out there. They say armed federal agents in fatigues bust down the doors overnight, pulling men, women, and children from their apartments, some naked. Residents and witnesses said agents approached or entered nearly every apartment in the 5-story building. U.S. citizens were among those detained for hours. And then here's one that tells you what they did with them, right? So it says Marie Sanders' boyfriend was detained. They had black people in one van and the immigrants in another. Man, if we don't get codified, if we don't get Vanguard going and protect one another, man, it's serious out here in these streets. That's that's a total violation. Did you hear what's going on with the mayor and the governor of Illinois, Chicago?
No, what's happening there?
They suing Trump.
Oh, that's a good thing.
They want to sue him because Trump threatened to throw them in jail. Because they're resisting his
his order, his executive order.
Yeah, executive order is martial law. But a lot of people say that it's a lot of the constitutional scholars, lawyers, etc., say that those executive orders are illegal because he doesn't have cause to do it. 1 and 2, he didn't get there has to be in order for him to use the federal arm, the guard, the emergency troops. You have to have a reason, and you're supposed to get the green light from the governor of that particular state.
Right. And that's what the person in Maryland was saying. They didn't give and Chicago, they did not ask for the troops.
And guess what's happening? I just saw an article earlier today. Check this out. 27 police officers among those injured by tear gas during the weekend protests by ICE of Chicago top cops said. So they don't even care if they hurt cops. 27, not one or two, 27 officers hurt.
You've never seen anything like that
That's
happen.
interesting. That's very interesting. So you have a lot of like bumping heads. You have a lot of friction, a lot of cognitive dissonance, a lot of power positioning. That's what I see. And I remember, just understanding history, the governor is the executive of the state that they reside over.
Mm-hmm.
The president is the executive of the country, nation.
Okay.
But there's a protocol and a pecking order because presidents just can't, because of states' rights, presidents just can't bogart over the rights of governors in their stewardship over a state. So, because he has the pull of military, do you think that's why Trump is doing what he's doing? He believes that he's just gonna like strong arm every city state into doing what he wants to do.
I felt, what was that? There was a general that was on, he was on CNN this week and saying that, he feels really bad for the troops, especially because they don't know which order to obey. And when folks that feel that, and so when you had something like the National Guards, and there was an area where they didn't, when he deployed them, they did not move against the people, and in turn, I think it was in LA, but they didn't move against the people, and in turn, he ordered for their arrest. And then people that even there in the military, oh, okay, he crazy, he's
No, you're right, because especially in Portland, they just defied his orders, the military, and thousands of soldiers. This is the rumor that because of they know how contentious it is with the brigadier generals and whether Trump is actually giving lawful orders. And they've decided amongst themselves that he's not giving a lawful order to, raid those townships and those cities. And thousands of soldiers threatened to walk.
Yep.
And they're saying that in like private quarters, Trump is losing his ish with the brigadier generals that report to him, because these generals on the ground aren't doing what he wants to do.
Right.
So it's getting crazy out there. They tear gas and police. We thought we had a problem with police. Now we got a problem with the National Guard. Why do you think that this is? And I know crime is the what do you call that? That's the red herring. That's the dog wagging the tail about what they think is a reason for the horrible use of military might across the country. But why do you think that Trump is doing this? Because obviously in these different jurisdictions, the crime is not that bad.
Right.
So if we're playing chess, not checkers, and Portland is saying it's not that bad, Chicago is saying it's not that bad, LA is saying it's not that bad, Trump is saying it is. Trump
said Washington was that bad, DC.
Right.
And the
right.
mayor's
So
like, no, it's not.
So what do you think is the end game for this? What's the chestnut checkers move with all of this? Why is Trump forcing the hand with all this militaristic action?
Well, again, I mean, we're seeing how, the ones who are not pushing back, they're for whatever Project 2025 narration comes out to be. And again, if no one remembered, because the election came and passed, but that manifesto was for him taking over government, not, and it was just that. It was a manifesto of how they plan to take over government. And so now you had these generals, and I know it was on CNN, But you have these generals that they're saying, hey, you know, he's the most, I think John Kelly, whose wife is the one that got shot in the head. No, not John Kelly. Yeah, John Kelly, he was the chief of staff at one point. You know, he said Trump is a danger. You know, he's the most flawed person he ever met.
Yeah.
Okay. And so here it is that you have generals saying, you know, because you're taught in the military to obey orders, and if you don't obey orders, it's paramount to treason. You know, and so this is what they're threatening our troops with now. They're threatening the young men and women who went over there, and you know, and the general is saying he's calling for a war on American soil, and you just don't do that, you know. And so you had these generals, you had them resigning over his policies, and now the one who resigned, the ones who had resigned, remember his first time go around. They're the ones that are speaking out more so, you know, and letting people know he shouldn't be the leader of the, you know, the leader of the military for the United States. And he feels really bad because he's endangering the lives of Americans on American soil. And that's both the military that he is dispersing, the National Guard that he's dispersing, and the people that he's dispersing it against. And so when you had those officers step back and say, no, this ain't right. Okay. It's like, you know, showing up in front of what is it called? Of a home, you know, of a 55 and over community, you know, and you're going to wage war or have the federal, you know, have these persons go in after these people. Like, come on. And so those who have a no right from wrong, they're like, yo, you know, they lay down their weapons. But the others, if they do that, they're going to be in trouble. So the governors, you know, so the generals have gotten together and they said, hey, yeah, somebody better wake up somebody, you know.
So there's an impeachment clause, right? And it's called conduct unbecoming of a president.
But did they try it the first time around?
Well, no, they tried they impeached him on other grounds, but they can get him this time around on this because he's utilizing, you know, federal resources unjustly. And do you think we see and he's only in year one, right? Do we see an impeachment and a removal of Trump during this presidential term? Do you think the people will just let Trump ride roughshod? Or do we see an impeachment and a removal because he's fraudulating federal resources and he's, you know, kind of, you know, being very, you know, abusing power?
He is abusing power. And so one of the things, and I always say the internet wins, they had a picture of Michelle and Barack and Jill Biden, and they walked in, and then you see Kamala Harris, and it's like, and she raises her hand, say for the people, and they were the legal dream team against Trump. And so I was like, yeah, well, they need something like that because, you know, they need to bring something in front of the Supreme Court because remember, Trump had already put his people in for the Supreme Court, noting that, look, if I just get y'all in, so anything I put over, you know, it's gonna roll, you know.
Give the green light to whatever
and we see it happen.
Whatever bills and constitutional
and we see it happening. So you only have the two women judges, Katanya and Sotomayor, only ones that are writing dissents against this guy. And why is that? Because the other ones were all Trump supporters to begin with, and that was the worry when, you know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, was for that he would get another person in, and you know, and he got that woman who they know that everything that comes out of his mouth is going to be echoed through her, It's good. It's okay. It's fine to do, but that was one of the big worries that, the Supreme Court justices will become compromised, and they have. And so now you have two women of color, the only ones writing dissent against the president, and that's why I was like, I hope they got protections, not the government's. They need their own squad. But yeah, they're the only two that's writing dissents against him. And I was like, something wrong with that picture.
Yeah, we need to use the one of our basic tenets of repealing government, and put our elective representatives to task to go to Congress and move for immediate impeachment, articles of impeachment,
Yeah.
on whatever charges they can muster based on Trump's activity. Like, do it now.
Yep, exactly.
Like,
and I think this is the right time to do it.
Yeah, put that out there now, and start talking removal, not just impeachment, because impeachment
Right.
season, you go to trial.
Start talking treason, because he's had so many treasonous acts.
There you go.
That it's crazy. I'm like,
yeah, like accepting those gifts from those foreign
allowing Elon Musk.
That's treason. That you can't accept gifts from foreign countries. That's not that's not becoming of a president. You're not. That's against the article in the Constitution, because that means you can
be bought.
You can be bought, and also you can you might be allying with a foreign power. You know what I mean?
Well, like they thought he was doing with Putin.
Exactly. So hey, we need to move on that like now, and that's something that voting doesn't impact. You could do that now. Go to your next assembly and put the heavy on your congressperson and your elected official about drawing up articles of impeachment on Trump. Like, do it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't wait. And I know it's going to have to be the Dems to come up with it. But if you're watching some of these recent news clips, you're seeing that even Republican people are backing out. Even Republican members of Congress are backing out of supporting him because of how rough shot that he wants to do. But guess what, man? We are out of time. I want everybody to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on all your notifications. So every time we do a Real HD show, you too can jump in and, have a higher discussion with us. And for myself and, Sister Aurora and all the Real HD crew who may not have shown up tonight, but they may be watching, leave a like, a share, a subscribe, timestamp what you liked about the episode, and we will see you next Wednesday. Thank you, Sister Aurora, for coming on the show. Much love and health and wealth and success. And let's love on each other and have each other's backs out here. Peace and walk with power.
Peace.
Peace.